other big story. This is our crazy alert for the day. I wanted to share this with you. There's a new book out by Michael Schmidt. He's a reporter for the New York Times. It's called Donald Trump versus the United States. Donald Trump v. the U.S., the United States. And in this new book, which apparently has not yet been released, but is on the verge of it, and so they always leak the little piece, the juicy pieces, to get people to pre-order the book, is this paragraph. This is about Kelly, John Kelly, the chief of staff, former, I believe, Army general who was Donald Trump's chief of staff. And here's the quote. This is, by the way, this goes back to the time when Trump was grandstanding around North Korea, when he was, tweeting. He was in a Twitter war with Kim Jong-un. Quote, "What scared Kelly even more than the tweets was the fact that behind closed doors in the Oval Office, Donald Trump continued to talk as if he wanted to go to war. He cavalierly discussed the idea of using a nuclear weapon against North Korea, saying that if he took such an action, the administration could blame someone else for it to absolve itself of responsibility." Kelly then replied to the president, "It would be tough to not have the finger pointed at us." And then he pointed out how many people would die in a nuclear exchange between the United States and North Korea. And Schmidt writes, that had no impact on Trump. He doesn't care about people dying, unless it's himself. So then Trump, quote, and finally, the way that Kelly got Trump to negotiate or to try to work things out with Kim Jong-un was he said that, I'll find the quote here, Kelly convinced the president he could prove he was, quote, the greatest salesman in the world by trying to strike a diplomatic relationship, thereby preventing the nuclear conflict. It's amazing. And Kelly was quite alarmed, apparently, that, first of all, he told Trump he would need congressional approval for a preemptive strike against North Korea. And Trump was, quote, baffled and annoyed. He didn't know that. He didn't, he's never read the Constitution. And then also, Schmidt makes this point that North Korea was trying to spy on U.S. decision makers. And again, speaking of, handling classified information, Donald Trump refused to use a secure phone. He was using an insecure phone that anybody with one of these spy devices that can, pretend it's a cell phone tower, could hack. And there's a bunch of those around Washington, D.C. But it's the White House aides, quote, "We're alarmed that Trump would repeatedly talk on unclassified phones with friends and confidants outside the government about how he wanted to use military force against North Korea." Wow. I mean, it's just the whole level of the complete lack of respect for our government, for peace in the world, for the consequences of nuclear war. I mean, this whole cavalcade of horribles coming out of the Trump administration. And then, stealing classified documents because he thought that they were souvenirs or because he thought he could sell them to the Saudis. I guarantee you Joe Biden was not collecting souvenirs and was not selling classified documents to the Saudis and to Vladimir Putin. And I'd be willing to bet a fair amount that when this story is finally written, we're going to discover that that's exactly what Trump did.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's 17 minutes past the hour. I'll pick up your calls on the other side of this break.